I understand that, I mean, I find it horrible what you're describing, but I don't think you're lying. I think you're being honest. So you can look at Donald Trump and see what you described as an honest crook, and
Have you ever watched someone make a bold political argument only for it to completely fall apart the moment they're asked to provide evidence? That's exactly what you're about to see. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now, full transparency, this exchange isn't brand new. It's an older clip, but it's one that many people still haven't seen. And honestly, it's just as relevant today as it was when it first aired. In this conversation, British presenter James O'Brien calmly presses a Donald Trump supporter on the claims he's making, and what follows is a fascinating example of what happens when strong opinions collide with simple questions. Let's watch the exchange, and afterwards I'll break down exactly what stood out to me.
All right, this is the atmosphere that Donald Trump has come into. The average Americans don't vote because they're just disenchanted with the entire thing. They think they're all crooks. It doesn't matter. And for people to scoff and say, oh, well, there's no proof of that. Oh, it can't be true.
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. I just think that's a little bit naive. Yeah, I mean,
so you're talking about an environment of because Trump is the crook that they thought all politicians were, but he comes.
But the thing is he's an honest crook, mate. Like, there's no, you know what I'm saying? He's not hiding it. You know, you say that, oh, Biden sounded like a statesman, like that's a good thing.
Yes,
it's not.
Right.
It's somebody who spent their life being a polished liar, taking corporate agenda and pushing it through.
Are you describing what you? Are you describing what you think now, or what you think they think?
This is what I believe, and this is what I've spoken to many of my friends back in America. We talk about these things, you know. And you've got the whole media juggernaut
if I asked you to persuade me that Joe Biden was a polished liar, what would you do?
I just pointed his 50-year career.
Yeah, well, go on.
How else could he possibly stay in power? I mean, this is the whole
that's
thing
a question. That's a question, not an answer.
From outside.
No, I know, but I just want you to.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't have any facts because I didn't know anything about Joe Biden before I heard his name as the elector.
But you're absolutely certain that he spent half a century lying.
If he's a politician, he's been in the job for that long. I don't see how he could avoid it.
But you just said you'd never heard of him before last year.
I don't need to hear.
He was vice president.
This is what I think of average American.
Shouting louder doesn't make any more sense because he was vice president for 8 years.
Right. Again, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him.
I mean, is it fair to suggest? Is it fair to suggest that you may not be the best qualified commentator on American politics?
I'm just trying to give you a look into.
And I am. You've given me a very interesting look, Jim.
I'm the average person as well.
You may be, but you've admitted you know absolutely nothing, but you're certain of your prejudices.
I'm certain that this is the way that it's going to be looked at by the people like Trump's followers.
No, that's why I said to you, are you telling me what you think, or are you telling me what you think they think?
I'm telling you what I think. I'm telling you.
And you think that Joe Biden
between my friends that I've spoken to about the subject?
No, I understand that. I mean, I find it horrible what you're describing, but I don't think you're lying. I think you're being honest. So you can look at Donald Trump and see what you described as an honest crook, and there is all the evidence of his wrongdoing that goes back 50 years. And you know, we could make a list. We'd be here until Christmas.
Yep. The man's got immense character flaws.
Not character flaws. Criminality.
I do not think he's a good person.
But then you've got Joe Biden over there, and you've got no evidence whatsoever of his malfeasance or misbehaviour, but you're absolutely convinced he's a wrong 'un. So would you mind if I...
Again, I would refer back to the Panorama program that I saw, which appalled me.
Yes, but was he in it?
A news crew can go over, pretend to be a lobbyist.
But was Joe Biden in it? Was Joe Biden in it?
No.
So are you,
in it.
I've got two questions. Do you recognise on any level how ridiculous you sound? And I say that affectionately.
Okay, all right, yeah, I suppose so. So now,
and the second question is who did this to you? Where do you think this came from? Because you weren't born like this. At some point in the last 50 years, you've become a man who's absolutely convinced of things, despite having no evidence for it whatsoever. How do you think that happened?
Because I have been pulled over, and I have had police in America rewrite the arrest report. And I have had basically lies told in court about me, and I have had trouble in America.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is not to be trusted.
This is my personal experience with the establishment.
Oh, what?
Okay,
Being pulled over by police in America.
That's right.
Okay. Well, it's been interesting talking to you, Jim.
I had a can of beer. that was unopened.
There's more.
Unopened in my car.
Yes.
And they wrote it up as an open container. And I ended up with a DUI.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is corrupt.
And honestly, I think that conversation perfectly captures a problem we're seeing more and more in modern politics. People can become completely convinced that something is true even when they can't point to a single piece of evidence to support it. What stood out most to me was the contradiction at the center of the caller's argument. On one hand, he openly acknowledged Donald Trump's flaws and even described him as an honest crook. But on the other hand, he was absolutely convinced that Joe Biden was corrupt despite being unable to provide any evidence for that claim. That's the part that James O'Brien kept coming back to, and it's ultimately where the entire argument started to unravel. This wasn't really a debate about Trump or Biden. It was a conversation about how people form their political beliefs and what happens when feelings, assumptions, and personal experiences start carrying more weight than facts. When that happens, meaningful political discussion becomes almost impossible. But that's just my take. What did you think of this exchange? Did James O'Brien make a strong case, or do you think the caller had a point that wasn't being fully understood? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.